Good evening, Cedar Falls. Welcome to our weekly meeting for Monday, May 1st, 2023. And I'll call this meeting to order with roll call from Madam Clerk.
Schultz.
Here.
DeVore.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Harding.
Here.
Ganfield.
Here.
Sires.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
All members present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. For those willing to and able to join, if you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item of business tonight will be the approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve the regular meeting of April 17th?
So moved.
Second.
Yep, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
on line item 54262, I would just like to clarify, there's a statement that it was moved by Cruz to call the question, which is an official act of business. That did not happen exactly that way. I would like to reword that section, so a motion to amend, striking, again, section 54262 of the minutes, and clarifying, striking it was moved by Cruz to call the question on the original amendment following, and replacing it with following a question by Ganfield and responses by Rodenbeck and City Administrator Gaines, discussion continued on the original amendment, following comments by.
Okay, that's a long strikeout, but
Yeah.
she's writing furiously.
I'll provide it,
Yeah, we'll have
Jackie.
it. No. Okay. So, from Councilor Cruz, you were involved in any concerns with that change? Nope. Okay. Any from the rest of council? Okay, so that was an amendment.
Motion amendment,
So,
Second.
yep, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Who seconded?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that takes us back to the original as approved, or as amended. So, approval for the regular meeting of April 17th, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that passes. Madam Clerk, do we have any agenda revisions tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, items 18, 21, and 22 listed on the resolution calendar are being removed as they have been paid.
Okay, so those are snow and ice items that have been paid. So we'll take those off the agenda for tonight. We had no special presentations tonight, so we'll move first into public forum, where speakers will have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics relevant to city business. To start us off, Olivia, our postal carrier, she had asked for a proclamation several weeks back. Wasn't quite in the time frame, but I said certainly for Letter Carriers Week, be happy to give her 5 minutes to talk about that if she likes. This is, I won't give away everything, but it's because she does an event for the Northeast Iowa Food Bank, which is relevant to the city. So, yes, ma'am, floor is yours.
As you know, I'm Olivia Bullock, a letter carrier from the Cedar Falls Post Office. I'm here to talk to you all about the food drive we do every year. We're on our 31st year. This year it falls on Saturday, May 13th. And how this works is residents of the Cedar Valley can leave a bag of non-perishable or canned goods on their porch or hanging from their mailbox if you have a mounted box. And the carrier or volunteer will come pick it up. And speaking of volunteers, we appreciate the volunteers every year, but we're always short on volunteers. So any one of you, we never see you guys there, or anyone in the Cedar Valley, we would greatly appreciate it, because in the past, some of you have helped. We do get fed very nicely from the local places in Cedar Valley. We appreciate it very much. They provide food and drink from the routes that they fall on our routes, and they offer to help out, which is overly appreciative because it feeds us and the volunteers. Anyone who'd like to volunteer, it is 10 a.m. at the back docks of the post office. There'll be someone there to hand you a route map and a description and kind of go over what you do. It's pretty simple. You drive to an address, pick it up, put it in your car, bring it back. And in the past, actually, in 2012, we're hoping to pass that number this year. The food bank total went over an estimated 1 million of food collected, so we kind of would like to top the best we've ever done. And it started in 1992. And actually, being a smaller office in Cedar Falls, we have outranked Waterloo every year, and that is basically because the neighborhood in Cedar Falls is greatly appreciated for the competitive spirit of the Cedar Valley. It's amazing people that don't even have money to give, or with prices up the last couple of years, what you guys do is just blows their mind because it goes to the local food bank, which some people can't afford to eat or feed their kids and they go hungry and get a little emotional. It's nice that we can feed them. So when you help out, you get to see that, and it's really, really rewarding. So we would greatly appreciate it, and we thank you again, and hopefully we see some of you guys there to help us out this year. So thank you.
So could you give the date again?
It is May 13th, 2023, on a Saturday. And I know there's a lot going on Mother's Day and all that, but this is really important that we can feed people. Just because our kids eat doesn't mean everyone is. So it's nice that we can get back. And last year we didn't have a good turnout because of COVID, years before. So I know they're hurting pretty bad. So any little bit helps, even if it's a couple cans here and there. So.
And is there a benefit to call in ahead of time to schedule as a volunteer, or do you just?
Nope, just show up, and it's good to see the people care, especially you guys. I mean, it's your city and you're representing us, so it's just nice to show up and show that you care for your neighborhood of Cedar Falls and us and our hard work. So
Thanks so much, Olivia.
yes, thank you.
So now within public forum, we have speakers having an opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics relevant to city business. With this, I'll just note, I know many of you here for item 9. If you'd like to speak, you certainly can now, but I would recommend waiting until item 9 when it can all be held together. And then as you're looking in, like say, YouTube videos and things like that, years from now, everything is within that section. But certainly not going to require that if you'd like to speak now, please. So Sonia Bach, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to go ahead and speak now so that the community can have more time to speak during that time. So greetings, my name is Sonia Lee Bach, and I am the chair of the Cedar Falls Human Rights Commission. I'm not speaking tonight for the commission. I'm just speaking for myself as a concerned citizen. I'm speaking for my I am asking the council to please pass the proclamation to acknowledge June as Pride Month to show support for the LGBTQIA community. The HRC has made a public statement on social media on Friday, and that we did not comment on the Mayor's Green memo, but I did not want to appear as if I was attacking an individual for their personal beliefs. This is the United States of America, and he does have a right to practice his faith. Also, social media is not the place to address this. Face-to-face is better. However, as mayor, Rob Green lacked transparency, not by contacting me or anyone else on the HRC, to state he had any issue with this proclamation, nor did he share that he was going to call for a change in procedure and his refusal to sign it. He stated in his memo that he saw that we put this event on our calendar last year. This memo was CC'd to the HRC, but I never got notification. My notification was a request from the press to ask for a statement, and that is very questionable behavior. That was very ineffective communication and disrespectful to the commission that brought the proclamation forward. No one from the city informed me about this memo. It is a 9-point memo of his personal beliefs that affect his public position as mayor can be taken as discriminatory and judgmental. It is a document that could be used to sway council members' votes. The change in the procedure, meaning writing a memo with instruction on how to handle the proclamation differently than any other submitted, coupled with the lack of communication, does appear to be a discriminatory action. I contacted the city attorney on Friday afternoon to discuss this and was referred to the document about the change in procedure that was passed back in December. In this document, I see nothing that addresses the mayor's ability to refuse to do his job, not sign an approved proclamation, or how he should instruct the council on their vote, or how he should or should not share his personal beliefs. Section 2C does state that normally there is a consultation with the submitter regarding any substantive changes. The mayor did ask for it to be rewritten so he would not have to sign it. That is a substantive change, and we were not contacted. Section 4 does state that the mayor will sign past proclamations. Per the article in the paper this morning, council members stated that social issues should not be city business, and the HRC proclamation should not be public debate. The LGBTQIA+ community and the Pride Month is not a social club or a social issue. It is a group of as a group that is a protected class. And because they have been marginalized, oppressed, raped, and murdered, I agree that this should not be debated, but it should be passed. I believe that this is a very dangerous precedent for any future mayors or council person who may just decide to disregard procedure because of their personal beliefs and choose to ostracize, offend, and discriminate against any group of citizens they see fit. This is not about Christianity. This is about humanity.
Thank you, Ms. Bach. Would anyone else like to speak in public comment tonight? 5 minutes. Otherwise, we can wait until item 9 when it comes forward. Okay, so we'll do that. So no other public forum items tonight? Then I'll consider the public forum closed and take us over to staff updates. For Mr. Gaines, do you have any staff updates for us tonight?
We have two, Mr. Mayor. There'll be two public open houses coming for the public to attend. One will be at Public Safety, and the other will be here in City Hall. The City Hall will be next, right before the next council meeting on May 15th, from 4 to 6 p.m. To kind of show off the renovations that were done over the last year and a half, I think it was. I was going to say a couple of years, seems a lot longer, but give the opportunity to the public to look at those. And then Director Birdie's going to go ahead and give us a brief update on the public safety open house.
Okay, thank you. Director Birdie.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So public safety next Tuesday from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. We're having our spring open house. We just encourage people to park out on Bluebell or in the end of the Fairway lot. Fairway's providing food and chips, but everybody in the public's welcome to come and see the equipment, ask questions about public safety of our police and fire staff. And the Iowa State Patrol, Blackhawk County, our partners with Mercy One, and the UNI Police will also be there. So Tuesday night, May 9th, from 4:30 to 7:30 at our public safety facility.
Okay, thank you. With that, if no other staff updates, then tonight, going to our special order of business, item 2 is a hearing on the proposed condemnation of property located at 1312 Clay Street. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of public?
Second.
There's
Excuse me,
no,
there's not one. I skipped that, okay. Are there any written communications filed with the city clerk?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Habit got me there. For oral comments tonight, we have Jamie Castle, our building official. So, Ms. Castle, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Just give me 1 second to get this open. Sorry about that. Today I'm here to speak about a condemnation for 1312 Clay Street. On March 4th of 2023, we had a condemnation committee inspection that was completed through administrative search warrant. I want to thank the council members who attended that meeting. We also had county health officers, code enforcement, and the fire chief at this inspection. Before we move into those inspection results, just a little bit about the past history of the property. In 2009, there was a nuisance violation regarding the disrepair of a back porch. The porch was removed in 2011 without proper reinstallation of a rear egress. In 2014, there was continued concerns about exterior maintenance. And then in 2020 and 2021, there were violations of illegal storage and debris on the property. The more recent history that actually brought it to our attention to have the condemnation committee inspection was on February 17th of 2023, Cedar Falls Utilities contacted law enforcement regarding a concern with the property and the high usage of water. They were unable to contact the property owner, and there was a concern about the excessive use. At that time, CFU and police went and found that the property was vacant and the pipe had burst in the basement, flooding the basement, and also hoarding was discovered when they entered the property. Public safety provided body cam footage to inspection services, leading to a call for the condemnation committee. When we did the inspection, we found on the exterior there is excessive debris and outside items stored. There were appliances, tires, bags of trash, etc. in the outside. In the left-hand picture, you can see where the porch was removed. New siding was added, but hopefully you can see in this picture there are no steps from that door, so it is not a proper egress. And then on the right, just a picture of the front. When we entered through the basement. At that time, we saw right away a significant amount of mold. The basement was very moldy. It had a very strong mildew scent, and everything continued to be damp. There was dripping water still from the flooding. As you can see here, there's extensive mold that would need to be removed. In the first two pictures, those are also, sorry, the left and the middle are also from the basement. As you can see that there's so much condensation from the excessive water and moisture in the air, and you can see there's still standing water in some of the items that were left. After we inspected the basement, we moved around to the front of the house, and this was our view getting in the front door. We did have some troubles being able to access the house just due to the amount of items that were there. As we did make our way in, we found that there is evidence of rodents. Every room was packed full, and there were some rooms we were not able to gain access to. I don't believe that we were able to even access the kitchen or find it from the paths we could take. From that, we're asking that City Council declare the property a nuisance, that the City Council orders abatement of the nuisance by 4:00 p.m. on May 15th, 2023, and that means that it's either completely abated or a viable plan of action is submitted on how they can get that completed. If the owner fails to complete either option, we're asking that the building official is directed to remove, correct, or abate the nuisance by demolition or removal, and all costs are covered by the property owner. A little information on what we're expecting of a viable plan. The plan should include all work to be completed by July 15th. All trash and debris are removed from the home and yard. House is clean and sanitized. Rodents removed. A mold abatement specialist is utilized to clean the basement. A third-party inspection to review the integrity of the home, the structural integrity of the home. Exterior maintenance is complete, painting, window repair. Approved egress added to the rear door where porch was removed, and the utilities are restored. If the owner fails to complete either option, the building official is directed to remove, correct, and abate the nuisance. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have the property owner or representative here tonight? Okay, seeing none. Okay, so with that, that'll take us out of the public hearing, or out of the hearing, and into item 2C, which is a resolution declaring the property located at 1312 Clay Street to be a nuisance due to being structurally unsafe, a fire hazard, or otherwise dangerous to human life and health. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for discussion. Seeing none. It's been moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And then that takes us to Part 2D, which is the resolution ordering abatement of said nuisance by removal, repair, or demolition of the property located at 1312 Clay Street, and requiring the owner of said property to abate said nuisance or submit a viable plan by May 15th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion from council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Ganfield.
love to if I could ask Mrs. Castle, what's the likelihood that somebody comes forward? The house looks like it would be a beautiful house if there was next of kin that wanted it. Is there any contact from anyone?
We haven't had any contact. I do know that there were some neighbors that were caring for the yard at one point, and that's the only information that we have. We did send, we placed the administrative search warrant in the door, and we did mail to the house. In verifying the property, that was picked up, so there is somebody that is involved with the home, but they did not appear today, so I'm not 100% sure what investment they have in the home. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor. Yes, Councilor Cruz.
Did we look at the parcel report to see who's listed where the property tax bill is going to?
It is going to that home.
It is, okay. No other address, okay. Thank you.
Anything else from council? Seeing none. So moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So that does pass and moves us over to item 3, which is a public hearing on the proposed plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the North Cedar Heights Area Reconstruction Project, Phase 1A. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
So that was for the, excuse me, that was for the receive and file proof of publication. I'll do that again. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have any written communications filed for this?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. So that takes us to staff comments with Mr. Dave Wiki. Floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Tonight's public hearing is for the North Cedar Area Heights Reconstruction Project, Phase 1A. What this project does will reconstruct the West Woodward Drive from to including parts of Greenwood Avenue to Cherry Lane. The work in this reconstruction includes water main, storm and sanitary sewers, slope repairs, an installation of new subdrain, asphalt pavement with concrete curbs or edging, and the intersections will be concrete. Total estimated construction cost for this project is $3,387,000, and the project will be funded by the local option sales tax, street construction fund, sanitary sewer rental fund, and general obligation bonds.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wiki. Before going to council, do you have any public comments for this item? Seeing none. So I'll consider the public hearing closed and take us over to 3E, which is the resolution approving and adopting the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the North Cedar Heights Area Reconstruction Project, Phase A. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Yes. Councilor
Just to get on record, I have had some people contact me from this area, and I've been working with them. I know that they're ready for the project, and I know that the streets are in disrepair. Costs are high. We're just wanted to reassure that we're going to continue to look at any and all possible ways to keep on track, and we're going to try to make it happen as best we can. So it's not just a done deal that it's closed and everything's delayed. If costs come down and we can put it back together, it's my understanding that we're going to try to continue to do that. Correct?
We'll forge ahead forward with our plan to have this project phased out over several years to keep chipping away at all the streets that need to be reconstructed. So future phases, if it looks like we can maybe do more than one street at a time, we'll certainly incorporate that.
I appreciate it. Thank you. That was all. Just wanted.
Okay, great. Anything else? Okay, seeing
Mayor?
none? Yes. Councilor Schultz.
Mr. Wiki, who is the contractor?
So we don't have a contractor yet for
Okay.
this project.
Thank you.
Okay. So moved and seconded for the resolution approving and adopting plan specifications, form of contract, estimate of cost for the North Cedar Heights Area Reconstruction Project Phase A. Requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That takes us out of the special order business and over into old business, where item 4 is passing ordinance 3026, amending Chapter 26 zoning of the Code of Ordinances relative to conditional use for adaptive reuse of defunct institutional buildings upon its third and final consideration.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for discussion. Any from the public? Yes, Councilor Schultz.
We can do public first. Sorry.
Okay. So any from the public questions on this item? Yes, Counselor Schultz.
I just wanted to reiterate that, for the third reading, at first I was in favor, and then with discussion from some citizens, I had voted against this. Met again with those citizens as well as heard from many others, and I'm in favor of this, so.
Okay, thank you. Any others from council? Okay, seeing none, then it's been moved and seconded to pass ordinance 3026, amending chapter 26 zoning of the ordinances relative to conditional use for adaptive reuse of defunct institutional buildings upon its third and final consideration. Requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So that does pass and is incorporated into our code. Item 5 is passing ordinance 3027, amending chapter 26 zoning of the Code of Ordinances relative to signage for civic institutional uses in the downtown character district upon its second consideration. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Council questions? Seeing none. Any comments, questions from the public on the item? Seeing none. Back to council. Okay, so moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So this signage institutional uses goes back before council in our next meeting for its final consideration. Item 6 is passing ordinance 3028, amending the zoning map by removing approximately 3 acres of property located west of the Hudson Road and Ashworth Drive intersection, 4929 Hudson Road, from A1 Agricultural District and placing the same in the R1 Residence District upon its second consideration. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Open for council questions. Okay, any from the public on this? Seeing none. Back to council and requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That takes us to 7, which is passing ordinance 3029, amending the zoning map by removing approximately 14.43 acres of property located north of the Black Hawk Park addition and west of Cypress Avenue from A1 Agricultural District and placing the same in the R2 Residence District upon its second consideration. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. And any questions on this from the public? Seeing none, back from council. Then moved and seconded and requires a roll call vote. Councilor Dunn? You don't have your vote yet.
Sorry.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That takes us over to the consent calendar, where these items will be acted upon by a voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or public requests that a specific item be considered separately. Does the council request to pull an item from 8 to 14?
9.
Okay, so 9.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Cyrus.
number 12.
Number 12, departmental monthly reports. So 9 and 12 are being pulled,
14B.
and 14B. Okay, so D. Okay. Okay. And any others from the public? Okay, seeing none, then is there a motion to approve items 8, 10, 11, 13, and 14 with the exception of 14B?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that takes us back to item 9, which is approving a proclamation recognizing June 2023 as Pride Month. Before moving forward on it, I would just ask the council, you've seen me at work here in the council chambers, and I would be happy to lead this discussion or to facilitate the discussion, but if there's any objections to that, of having me facilitate the discussion, think about it for a moment and let me know.
I would have a problem if you didn't lead the discussion.
Okay, so I will continue on that track. I just wanted to make that open. Okay, so 9 is approving a proclamation recognizing June 2023 as Pride Month. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Open for council questions or discussion first. Yes, Councilmember Schultz.
So I'd like to start off by revisiting the Pledge of Allegiance, the end there where we said liberty and justice for all, and no pun intended, but I would take pride in reading this proclamation, and I'll let the rest of the council speak. I have more to say, but that's where I am right now.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, comments from council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Dunn.
just a matter of me knowing, because I guess I'm a bit confused. What is, I know we voted to change the procedure in December, and I voted for that. What though is, and I'm not taking away from the speaker from earlier, but what is the procedure with what ends up on the special presentations and what goes to the consent calendar? Am I missing something in that? I just need to know for my own education.
Sure. So in the policy, it says that typically the proclamations aren't going to be read in the council meetings, that it'll happen at some other event, some venue arranged with the petitioner. There are some cases where the public has requested to have it at the start of the meeting in special requests, and that's where Ms. Kliegel had asked a few weeks ago to have the Women's History Month proclamation read at the start of the council meeting. So we remember, we moved that item to the front of the meeting, we approved it, and then we read it right then. So it's a little bit different. Typically something like Jamaica Day or other events that we've had, it's just been read very similar to this, like standing committee meeting minutes or applications for alcohol licenses, and not read at the meeting.
Okay, I still guess I'm still confused. What, other than the requests by the folks, I guess I'm just confused as to, are people told that when they submit a proclamation that they can have that? I guess some proclamations are just read without council, I mean, they're read at the beginning and I'm just confused.
Yeah.
I
So
guess.
no if I understand the question right, no proclamation, according to the policy, the council approved policy, no proclamation comes to the public unless it's been approved by the council. Does that answer your question?
Kinda, okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, other questions? Yes, Councilor DeVere.
I think maybe what's confusing, Kelly, is that was a change from what was done before.
Mm-hmm.
That was a change made in, I don't know, December.
Yeah, and I guess I'm just it's still a very muddy, I knew of the change. Obviously, we all made the change and voted on the change. I'm just still kind of confused as to how something gets at the special presentation part and how something ends up on the consent calendar. I mean, I'm not saying either one is, it's very confusing and it seems different.
Yeah, well, the policy since December is that every proclamation is on the consent calendar and typically is not going to appear in the presentations at the start.
Except for tonight.
Well, we didn't have one tonight in presentations.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's no proclamation
Okay,
tonight,
that
it's just information.
that was just someone speaking.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, Councilor.
Perhaps it would be helpful, because in item 41 under referrals, I plan tonight to make a referral on proclamation policies and procedures. And that might be a good time then, if you support that when we have our committee meeting on it, to go over all those different procedures.
Okay, other questions? to start
Mr.
with?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Cyrus.
Gil Schultz and I went to school together ever since kindergarten. We've never talked about anything we were going to say tonight, but I prepared a little something as well, and I was elected to represent everyone in this community, and I'm proud to do so. I believe everyone who chooses to live in Cedar Falls should feel welcomed and safe. I have always supported human rights and personal freedoms as granted in our U.S. Constitution. My beliefs haven't changed. It is the freedoms granted to us through the Constitution that makes us a great nation. I myself have always enjoyed the diversity in our community since I was just a kid. I will be voting in favor of this proclamation.
Thank you.
That's all.
Any other questions or comments from council before going to the public? Councilor DeVere.
I would just ask the audience, as we go through this and different people speak, it's not appropriate for people to be cheering and clapping. If they could please try to not do that, because it's actually not allowed under our protocol. it's not allowed, it's just trying to be nice to each other, because there may be some people speaking on one side and some on the other. So we'd really appreciate it if you could try to refrain from behavior that's not nice to the other side.
Thank you, Councilor DeBurr. So, and the issue here, just big picture is this is a civics lab. Like, we're working together through issues. And we very much need you to be part of that. We need you to speak in the public comment section, provide your opinions. Once we get to that part, I'll be going pro-con for the item, just as we do typically for these kinds of issues. So as we do it, please provide respect to all speakers. I mean, it's extremely important that we do that, or we devolve into just chaos in here. And I'll have to take action if that does happen for the sake of all speakers. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember DeBurr, for that. Anything else from the council for initial comment here, or questions? Okay, so with that, I will open for public comment, where speakers will have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes. And our city clerk will have these. If you've not been in our council meetings before, we'll have a 1 minute time and then a 0.
Time's up.
Whoa, where did it go?
Just time's up.
Oh, just time's up.
Just
Okay.
red.
It's just red.
Stop.
All right, so 1 minute and time's up. Thank you. I don't usually see those. So with that, again, going pro-con, do we want to set a time limit, total time limit tonight, or just allow it to run?
Let it run.
Okay.
Just let it run.
I always ask council if it's going to be a potentially a long night. So with that, who would like to be our first speaker, either pro-con? Yes, Ms. Smith. Just name and address for the record. Please, ma'am. We'll always ask for name and address for the record.
Sure. Whitney Smith. I live on Hawthorne Drive in Cedar Falls. I want to start by saying that I had a very civil conversation with the mayor earlier today. It was nice to be able to express my feelings in person and put things out, different perspectives. I am 100% for the LGBTQI+ community. I think it's important to support every member of our community. We have a separation of church and state, and that's what our founding fathers built this government on. So this is a small form of government, as it's our city government, and I would hope that we could all come to a consensus that we represent everybody, regardless of their faith, their sexuality, their color of their skin, or any other difference that they have. I'm an ally, and I will stand up for what I think is right, and that's just what I want to say. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. So on the, so for the proclamation, who would support the con side, I guess we'd call it? Is everyone here tonight for that? No, it's a big pro audience tonight. Would anyone like to speak con? And I would just, haven't had anything happen, but I would just advise people, we're learning here as we go, and you will have the most opportunity to influence the other side through respect. So please show that respect. Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Forrest Dawkins, and I live on over in, sorry, I was a little nervous, 2213 Yorkshire Drive. And I'm thankful to be able to come and talk here. I'm thankful for all of you who work here and do a great job. So thank you for that. Also, I am thankful to be most of my adult life, I've lived in Cedar Falls. I went to UNI, got my bachelor's and my master's degree, and I've just really spent most of my life here as an adult, and so I'm really thankful for that. And yeah, I can see tonight that there are many people who are very passionate about this issue, and I too, as the first speaker who came up here, said want people to be respected. And so I do want people to be respected. And I want to show kindness to the LGBT community. That being said, I would like to ask the council to not officially promote Pride Month. I think that the community, when you, I guess I'm going to read a quote. Socrates said in the Republic, he says, "What is honored in a country is cultivated." And so I see if the city votes for this, they are cultivating the LGBT community, giving them special honor. And while like I said, I want the community to be respected and honored, I don't think we should hold them in extra honor necessarily. But that being said, I want to make sure that people know that once again, I love my city, and I like that I can work side by side with people in this community without having to know whether somebody is a Republican or a Democrat or a Christian or bisexual or a different gender than I would have thought. I can smile at anyone walking down the sidewalk, no matter what they are wearing, without knowing how they voted or who they're sexually attracted to. Even if I see my neighbor put up signs that I disagree with, I'm still going to treat them right and help them when I can. And help, yeah. That being said, I do not think the city should be proclaiming Pride Month. It is a political issue, sadly, and will divide people. And that being said, I would be a bad neighbor if I did not warn that pride comes before the fall. And the Bible is very clear that being prideful is dangerous. So the Bible says in Proverbs that pride leads to disgrace and ends in humiliation. And so I hope that we can just live with respect and honor one another, no matter what they believe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, for being very respectful. This is a democracy experiment in action. It's what America is all about. So appreciate everybody's attention on this. Yes, actually, I just heard from, okay, yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record, please.
Yep, I live on Western Avenue in Waterloo. I just want to say that you and the gentleman that spoke before you should be entitled to your Christian celebrations that help you find your sense of community, and let the LGBTQ community find their same sense of community. You have teenagers dying in your community because they're not finding that here, and it's terrifying for families. Families are terrified. So let us have our sense of community, and no one's going to fight you having your sense of yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Speaker on the con side. Okay, speaker on the pro side. Yes, Ms. Heston, please. Everyone's so polite. It's wonderful.
Resolutions about Black history.
Could you give a name and address for the record,
I'm
please?
sorry, I do apologize. Melissa Heston, 1911 Hawthorne.
Thank you, ma'am.
Resolutions about Black history are political. They are divisive, as our own legislature has said. We can't talk about critical race theory. It's, not that we do actually in most cases, but it's divisive. We can't teach certain books because they're divisive. Latino, Hispanic Month is divisive. Anything apparently that divides us or shows that we are belonging to different groups with different views is being labeled divisive, and that smothers civil conversation. My recommendation to you is to eliminate all resolutions. If a resolution, as this lovely gentleman said, who sounds very kind and loving as a Christian or whatever, if these resolutions create a way for the country to go forward, why have any of them in a country that is so diverse? I believe in recognizing achievement and contribution of all groups, period. And that means we cannot exclude people because of our private beliefs in a public forum. What we exclude in our private lives is up to us, no question. What we carry for a sign on the streets with our political views is up to us, no question. But in a civic government, in a country with a separation of church and state, it becomes very, very different. Kennedy, JFK, faced big questions about his election because he was a Catholic, and many people did not want a Catholic to be president. They feared he would force his religious faith on the country. I believe religion is best left out of politics, and in a country as diverse as we are. And in fact, when you look at our religious options, they in of themselves are very diverse. More diverse than you'll find probably anywhere else in the world. We have many, many faiths and many, many versions of that one faith, many, many interpretations of the Bible. Parts of the Bible matter, other parts don't. Certain passages matter, other passages don't. That is actually one of the values our pilgrimage fathers, they wanted us to be readers, to be literate, so people could interpret the Bible for themselves without being told by the clergy what the Bible meant. So cool, let's do that. But that means what you believe is what you believe and guides your actions only, not the civic populace. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Hudson. Another opportunity for the con side? Seeing none, then to the pro side. So, Reverend Cabot, please. Just name and address for the record, please, sir.
I'm Reverend Dave Kimmett, 1115 Oak Park Boulevard. I am also a member of the Cedar Falls Human Rights Commission. I want to encourage you to vote in favor of this resolution because it is in favor of our citizens. It's that simple. When Jesus gave the commandment to love our neighbors, a lawyer immediately followed up with a question and asked, who is my neighbor? Maybe he was looking for an out. I don't know. Jesus responded with the story of the Good Samaritan, didn't give him an out, gave him an example of somebody being a good neighbor. I want to encourage you to be a good neighbor. Discrimination should not be considered a Christian virtue. Our responsibility is to love our neighbors. That's why I'm on the Human Rights Commission. So if you want to express your faith, I want to encourage you to do so in a way that builds up your neighbor, not in a way that pushes them aside. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Cabot. Another for the con side. Okay, and then over to the pro side. We'll have this lady come forward first. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Morgan Friedley. I live in Waterloo at 646 Hope Ave. I come for you in front of you today because I am part of the community. I want you all to see that not all these devil people that you all think are part of the community are it. I work for a school, I take care of children, and I'm just as respectful to others as other people. But nobody has the right to tell me I have to hide who I am again. It's not right for anybody. And I'll speak to you in the language that most politicians like. Waterloo makes a lot of money off their Pride Fest. The first Pride Fest ever happened, it was a riot. We don't want to go back to that. We want to be able to love people. We want people to love us. That's all we're asking. And it's a mighty good, easy way to make some money.
Thank you. Next speaker, from the con side, and then from the pro side. So someone, yes, actually, you'll have to arm wrestle for it, I think. Okay.
I'm older. My name is Shirley Whiteside. I live at 1716 Park Drive. First, the whole Pride, this is a proclamation declaring Pride Month. There's a reason for that. And the whole Pride experience started in the 1960s when the gay community was all living in the closet and all underground, and it wasn't okay to be gay. And there was a terrible police riot, and it happened in June in New York. And that's why gay people all over the country practice Pride Month, and their supporters too. I'm concerned about Cedar Falls being a city that can't even pass a proclamation declaring June to be Pride Month, partly because I've seen, the stuff that's happening in the legislature that targets transgender kids, violence, shootings in nightclubs. It seems like there's a lot of targeted hostility toward people who are gay or who identify or support people who are gay. And I would hate to see Cedar Falls fall into that for people who live in Cedar Falls, and also for people who live in a lot of rural areas around here that aren't welcomed in their own communities sometimes. So that's, please support the
Proclamation.
Proclamation.
Thank you, thank you. I saw someone come up forward earlier. Okay, here you are. Yes, so just name and address for the record, please.
My name is Kalyani Khanna, and I live on Stanley Street, and I'm going to read a note that I wrote for myself. I have lived in Cedar Falls since 2020, and I want to start by addressing the council. It is 2023. We shouldn't be debating the existence of LGBTQ people. We shouldn't be debating the proclamation of a civil recognition of a protected class of people. Queer and trans folks shouldn't have to fight to be treated with the same respect and decency as anyone else, and we certainly shouldn't have to be doing so in council chambers on an issue that is rooted in the religious beliefs of a private citizen. Pride Month is not a matter of ego or pride, it's a matter of recognition and celebration of a protected class, of proclaiming that our queer and trans neighbors are valued and welcomed as we so claim that they are. To the mayor, separation of church and state has been so important to this nation that it was codified in the Constitution through an amendment. I shouldn't have to be reminding anyone of this in 2023. All of y'all were elected to serve all Cedar Fallsians, not only those who share your personal beliefs. Your personal beliefs do not have a place in council chambers when you are representing all of your constituents. And to my LGBTQ neighbors, I see you, I love you, and we will not be erased.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, offering on the con side. Okay, on the pro side. Who'd like to speak next? Yes, name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Laura Tull. I live on Maplewood Drive. I'm a resident of Cedar Falls, and I live, work, and parent in this town. I am also an out and proud queer woman. Mayor Green, you didn't do your job, and I am ashamed of your actions. I am ashamed to be a resident of Cedar Falls today. And as mayor, your job is not to pick and choose who you represent. Like it or not, queer people live, work, and exist in Cedar Falls. We pay taxes, buy your homes, eat at your restaurants, use your parks, and go to your churches. Your one job is to represent the residents of Cedar Falls, and your decision to refuse to sign the proclamation did not represent me, and you have failed to do your job. With the amount of hatred we as a community have endured, not only in the state of Iowa, both personally and legislatively, but nationwide as well, we do not feel safe. We do not feel safe in the state, and we now know, with your refusal to sign this proclamation, that we are also not safe in the city of Cedar Falls. My partner and I have had discussions of where we will live in the future, and I can tell you with confidence that if the city of Cedar Falls chooses to continue to preach hate instead of acceptance, and refuses to protect all of its citizens, including myself, you will make my choice to move back to Waterloo a very easy one. Mayor Green, the city of Cedar Falls is better than the hatred you preach. The city of Cedar Falls is better than choosing to not welcome all of its citizens with open arms. I'm extremely happy that you will not be running for office again, given your clear bigotry against my community. But I also urge you to step down as mayor, as it is clear you are unable to do your job without your bias getting in the way. In closing, I ask that the City Council sign this proclamation, as well as Mayor Green, without changing the rules to show your commitment to keeping our community safe.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, offer on the con side first, on the pro side. Yes, Ruth. Name and address for the record, please, ma'am.
Well, I
am like for the pro side.
Yes, ma'am.
The signature, it seemed to me, according to the rules, the council rules passed last winter, do not give the mayor a choice on it. It says shall. And I looked up, my impression, I'm not a lawyer, but I looked up Cornell Law's website, says shall means it happens. It's not a permission kind of a choice. And so I think it's your duty to sign it. And you can look into that, you know, but to change the rules, it is really kind of derogatory. Although the memo was kind of peppered with things that looked like it was, you know, trying to be inclusive, the end result, if you don't sign it, is discriminatory. And as far as being a Christian, I mean, it's like people interpret biblical scripture all over the board. That's one of the reasons why the separation of church and state was written into the Constitution, and the Iowa Constitution too, from the beginning. Of course, most of the rest of the country already was kind of going that way by that time. But to give an example of how different scripture can be interpreted, or whether you want it, I'd like to read a couple of rhymes from Yip Harburg. He's the lyricist who put the rainbow in the Wizard of Oz story. And he says, do unto others, love thy neighbor as thyself, hide that motive on the shelf, let it lie there, keep it idle, especially if you're suicidal. And then another one, realist, for what we are about to receive, O Lord, 'tis thee we thank, said the cannibal as he cut a slice of the missionary's shank. I mean, it's all ways to interpret. And in the First Amendment of the Constitution was interpreted, got the year here somewhere, Reynolds versus United States, a Supreme Court decision in 1878, in which Reynolds was a Mormon living in the territory of Utah, and Congress had made a federal law that the territories couldn't have bigamy, and it wasn't enforced for a while. But then once somebody came and enforced it, and Reynolds had multiple wives, and he fought it on First Amendment grounds, and lost. But I think that it's really important, the explanations that unanimous decision had. As it said, laws are made for the government of actions, and while they cannot interfere with mere religious belief and opinions, they may with practices. Suppose one believed that human sacrifices were a necessary part of religious worship. Would it be seriously contended that the civil government under which he lived could not interfere to prevent a sacrifice? Or if a wife religiously believed it was her duty to burn herself upon the funeral pile of her dead husband, would it be beyond the power of the civil government to prevent her carrying belief into practice? And then later in that, it says, can a man excuse his practices because of his religious belief?
1 minute
To
remaining.
permit this would be to make the professed doctrines of religious belief superior to the law of the land, and in effect to permit every citizen to become a law unto himself. Government could exist only in name under such circumstances. I think it's important to respect that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Walker. Next speaker on the con side first, and then over to the pro side. Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rick Henry. I live at 3003 Shady Lane here in Cedar Falls, and I don't need 5 minutes. I just want to say, first of all, Mayor Green, you inadvertently caused a real resurgence of the idea of social studies and brought out a lot of people that might not otherwise have been here. I do think your decision was wrong, and I hope you change it. I would like to ask you all, if you haven't already, to realize that there's a whole room back there with twice as many people here that you've brought out of the woodwork in order to talk about this. Your job is to support those people as well as the people that completely agree with you. And I'm really begging you to take your responsibility seriously and sign this thing, because that's your job. And you are not to impose your own religious beliefs, even in this kind of circuitous way that you are trying to do, upon these people. These are our neighbors. These are our children. These are part of our community. And if you're going to represent them all, you got to represent them all. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Another speaker for the con sign offering, and then to the pro side. Yes, name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Chelsea Lowe, and I live on Balboa. I'm actually one of the people that came out just because of this. I don't want to speak at public forums like this. Sorry, this whole thing brings too much emotion. This should not be a thing. Like, we should not be here for this. Like, you were so irresponsible in that memo. Like, ultimately, I wrote a whole thing, and I would love to get to it, but ultimately it just comes down to this should not be up for discussion. It's a wonderful proclamation that has amazing words in it, so far as to say, whereas celebrating Pride Month influences awareness and provides support and advocacy for the city's LGBTQIA community and is an opportunity to take action and engage in dialogue, to take and strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equal rights, and ends with the celebration of diversity, unity, and remains committed to treating all people with fairness and respect. All Cedar Fallians, every single person behind me who is from this city, who is in this city, who moved to this city, who wants to move to this city, we all deserve that. It doesn't matter whether their pronouns are she, her, hers, they, them, theirs, he, him, his, or anywhere in between. Everyone, you are the mayor for everyone. Regardless of whether we agree with any of your other policies or decisions that you've made, your memo, which was a no offense kind of memo, was very much offensive and well beyond your reach as a mayor. You are absolutely entitled to your own personal beliefs, as am I. They have no business in this room or on these papers that will forever dictate the future of Cedar Falls. It's not where I want to raise my children. It's not how I raise my children. This is not what they learn in their classes and should not be upheld by anybody in the council or in this room. I very much appreciate those council members that have already spoken out for it. As my Ward 5 person, please, please do not stand by Mayor Green in his writing off of an entire group of people. The LGBTQIA community is such a courageous and beautiful community that deserve everyone's dignity and respect always. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Offering for the con side, and then the pro side. Hi. Yes, sir. Or ma'am. Good evening. Just name and address for the record, please.
My name is Alina Chenoweth, and I'm at 909 Olive Street. My wife and I have been together for 10 years. When we first met, this is more than just a proclamation. This is about acceptance. It's about representation. It's about acknowledgement that there is a group of people that exist. When we first started dating, I was having a lot of health issues. I was bleeding internally, and I was in the hospital. She was asked to leave the hospital room because she was not recognized as my family member. At that time, we were engaged. We had been together for 3.5 years and already had moved in together. We were tax-paying citizens. We were citizens of our community. We came from California. When we were told that some of our family was moving out here, one of my biggest apprehensions was LGBTQ issues, because that drives so personally to who I am as a person. I'm not asking you to change your personal beliefs, But what I'm asking you to do is acknowledge that there is a group of people that exist in your community and realize that the proclamation starts a conversation. It acknowledges people and it gives people a platform to speak about who they are. Look at the diversity in this room. It's not just about the color of our skin or who we love. It's about accepting each other for who we are and our differences. And it comes also to the fact that my marriage is on the ballot every 4 years. I don't know if any of your guys' marriages are ever on the ballot every 4 years. I don't know. I'm not going to speak to that. But I will say that that does have a mental toll. There are young people who have taken their own lives, who have been kicked out of their homes because of what the Bible says. A book. A book. That is what parents are dictating their parenting schedules, their styles on, and kicking their children out of their homes. They have no place. So when they go to Pride, when they see the rainbow, when they see somebody else who represents who they are, that gives them hope. I didn't know that I was a lesbian until I was 18 years old. I knew I was different, but it wasn't until I started seeing things in my community that gave me a platform to speak and ask questions. If it's not comfortable for you, how do you think it is for us walking into a room? My wife and I walked into a restaurant, dropped our hands, and she looked at me and said, "We're just friends. We're just friends. I have a ring on my finger, just like every one of you." So what is so hard about acknowledging that there's a group of people that exist? Thank you.
Okay, another opportunity for the con side, for the pro side. Yes, Mr. Schraffenberger. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Oh, Rob, you know where I live. I'm Jeremy Schraffenberger. I live at 519 Iowa Street, just around the corner from you, Rob. And I mention that because you and I have spent a lot of time together. We've socialized. We've had beers at picnics a lot. Our
Not
neighborhood.
beers.
Oh, well, yeah.
Root beer.
Root beer. I've had beers. Sorry to speak for the mayor. And that's great. That's a great neighborhood tradition that we have. We get together every summer. We've lived in this neighborhood for nearly 15 years. This is a tradition I think you value probably as a microcosm of what you want Cedar Falls to be. And yet, this statement, this proclamation, I think, has changed utterly my sense of safety for my family and my friends. I don't feel safe at our community neighborhood anymore. I don't, because you will be at that picnic. I don't feel safe. And I don't want my children exposed to that kind of hate. Now listen, I haven't prepared a speech, but you all know you have to pass this proclamation. There are a ton of people outside. If you don't, do you think they're going to forget that you voted no? I don't think so. These people are motivated, and they're mobilized. Just at the last second, people heard about this. I got to show up for this. So you're going to vote for this. I know you will. And if you vote no and everyone else votes yes, we're going to keep score. I appreciate, Dave, you saying this is what we should do, because we should. Rob, I just want to say face to face, I'm ashamed of you, and I think you should resign. I do not think that your Christian faith should be on the table with your public duties. If it gets in the way, you do not belong in the mayor's office. I also just want to say, Socrates, he was sentenced to death. He was charged with corruption of youth, which was euphemism for homosexuality. He was also charged with not recognizing the gods of the city, and then he was put to death. So, are we going to revisit history? Pass the proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schraffenberger. Con first, and then pro. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Byron Plumley. I live at 1716 Park Drive, Cedar Falls. One of the things I really like about the United States is we're a tapestry. And if you can imagine a tapestry, it's woven with all colors, all stripes, all kinds, and it's beautiful. And so the diversity that we celebrate when we celebrate diversity is marvelous. And it gives us keen insight into a richness that we would not have otherwise. And so we celebrate Black History Month. We celebrate Women's History Month. We celebrate Cinco de Mayo. I love Cinco de Mayo, not just because I like margaritas, but hey, all right. So this diversity is something for us to enjoy and learn from. And so each time we dive into the diversity that is part of our society, we gain insight. And so I come from an urban setting, and here I am in Iowa farm country. Wow, that's diversity. And I'm going to learn a great deal about Iowa farming. So, if we're going to accept one another, and we're going to do that in the most beautiful way, the only solution is love. We have to ask ourselves, what is in my heart? And will it allow me to love the diversity that we're part of? The only solution is love.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, go ahead, sir.
My name is Mike Stout. I live at 1022 West 13th Street. I find it striking. I haven't been here in a while because you haven't tried to build a quick start in my backyard yet. Because that was the last time I was here. So you got me mobilized again, so I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. I find it striking when you walk in that door, there's a timeline painted. Starts at 1840, it goes to 1960. There are blank spots that go all the way to 2040. Man, that memo you dropped, that's from 1960. You should be ashamed. I'm 36 years old, so that means that I was 11 years old when Matthew Shepard was killed. I was a senior at Perry High School, which is about 2 hours west of here, when one of my high school classmates was sent to a conversion therapy camp and forever damaged because his Baptist parents didn't like the way that he was. He's a nuclear physicist now. And I was a senior at UNI when Varnum was passed. So I graduated. I had high hopes. I didn't leave. I stuck around Cedar Falls. I've been a taxpayer since 2009, 2010. Active, yelling at some of you on Facebook. You know me. I had such high hopes for our city. But in a year where this group of people has been drowning, absolutely drowning, from people in the state legislature just up the road in Janesville, it's all the way down to Des Moines, putting a boot on their head. That memo threw gasoline on the fire. You represent everyone. I'm not near as eloquent as most of the people in here, and I'm not near as emotional, nor should I be, because this doesn't affect me near as much as the other folks in this room. But you represent them too. And that memo, it was disgraceful, and I am ashamed too, just like the other speaker said. Council, I ask that you pass this, you pass it forthwith, and you stick it on Mayor Green's desk. And if he won't do his duty to sign it like he should, the next signature should be, you resign.
Thank you. Speaker Khan? Any Speaker Pro? Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
I'm Jim Young. I live at 5225 North Drive. Thank you for the comment about justice for all. I'm at an age, I've lived in this town for almost 40 years. And I'm at the point in my life where I wonder, where do I live that's safe and welcoming? Because Iowa right now is not. I was just with a group of friends on Saturday, and all of us were out the same question. Where do we go that's safe? This resolution, your stance, Mayor Green, is a statement saying that Cedar Falls is not a safe place. You have a university in this town, and if people in this state do not feel safe, If the city do not feel safe, the brain drain that Iowa is going to feel is going to be immense. Economically, you had a housing plan earlier tonight. Nobody wants to live here if we are not welcome. This proclamation needs to be signed by everyone, including you, because you represent all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, Khan. Speaker Pro. Yes, Olivia, welcome back.
And I'm not supposed to technically be pro anything, non again anything, because I'm in uniform, but a lot of my friends, my running buddies, they're lesbian, gay, bi. I'm all for it. And let's say I were to have bias on people, let's say, because you're Christian, I don't deliver your mail. I'd probably get fired. So I don't understand, so I saw this quote, and sorry if it offends anyone, but so I just saw straight people holding hands while I was eating lunch. Geez, can't go anywhere without having the straight lifestyle shoved in your face, down your throat, as if they were enough. She kissed him. They were kissing in public. Ew. Yes, you really do sound that stupid when we're going against that, because they don't say anything to us. We shouldn't say anything to them and let them feel like we're all equal, because it's the United States of America and it's 2023. So thank you.
Next speaker.
I wasn't planning on, sorry. I'm Mason Seelock.
Oh, Mason.
South Street in Waterloo. I was a resident of Cedar Falls for 6 years while I attended UNI and worked in town for a while. And many of my best friends and people I consider to be my family are still Cedar Falls residents, and I care about them greatly. And most of them are in the LGBTQ community. And I am too. I'm a transgender individual. And I see there are many queer trans youth here in the House tonight who have been hearing nothing but legislative violence for the last several months in this state, and are undoubtedly feeling very scared and alone. And as a trans adult, while the Iowa government and the US government isn't necessarily directly attacking my life at the moment, it's very clear that that's what they're, that's the direction things are heading in right now. And so it's incredibly disappointing to hear words from the mayor of a town that I spent 6 years feeling pretty welcome in, pretty safe, pretty like I fit in well with the community, especially at UNI. It was a great place for me to just exist as a person, as a human being. And I just want you to be aware of the weight that your words hold, especially for the children in your city. It's incredibly scary to hear those words come out of the mouth or out of the pen of a government official, because when it comes out of your mouth, it encourages it to come out of the mouths of everybody else who maybe feels that way even more strongly and undoubtedly more hatefully. And I would like to think that you're not a hateful person, Mayor. But there are lots of people out there who are. And I think that when you say things like what you've said, it inflames people who are going to be hateful and violent. And so I would really encourage you to sign the proclamation. Because I think the people in your city, especially the trans kids in your city, deserve to feel safe and welcome and appreciated by someone that they're supposed to look up to. Thanks.
Thank you, Mason. Let Olivia sneak out here. Next speaker, we'll say Con first and then Pro.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Blatt. I live in Waterloo, but I was a resident
when I attended UNI from 2014, and that's where I grew to be a young adult when I attended there, and I was proud to be on the executive board of UNI Proud and in student government for LGBTQ affairs. I graduated in 2017, and I lived until May of 2020 here in Cedar Falls, and I still live in the Cedar Valley. I'm a commissioner on the Waterloo Human Rights Commission, and I just wanted to take a brief moment to thank everybody who's supporting this, and especially the people who are on the commission of the Cedar Falls Human Rights Commission for bringing this proclamation about on their committee and supporting the people in the Cedar Falls community. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Hi, Sam. Thank you very much, Sam. Next commenter. Arm wrestle for it. Okay, so go ahead.
Sherry Huber-Otting. I live on Iowa Street, not too far from Jeremy. I'm here, I'm talking today as I really appreciated, Dave, your comments as a person of faith. And I'm here as a person of faith right now. That's the role I'm doing. And I've lived in Cedar Falls since I came to UNI. And I stayed. I came here to UNI and I stayed, and I've been very proud of the city. I enjoy working here, living here. And a lot of people have these shirts on, and I'm a Unitarian Universalist. And I just want to come as a person, again, of faith that is very deeply believes in some principles that we have. The inherent worth and dignity of every single person. We believe in justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process, and the goal of world community, where everyone is seen as equal, everyone is seen as valuable. I would really love to think that this city can pass this proclamation. It seems like a no-brainer to me, to pass it and sign it. And I know some people on the board and other people sitting here, and the ones who are voting on this, I urge you to please vote on this. It's the right thing to do. Thanks.
Next commenter. Yes, name and address for the record, please.
Jessica Naholt, 6421 Viking Road in Cedar Falls. I too am a lifelong Cedar Falls person. I went to elementary school, junior high, and high school here, went to the University of Northern Iowa, and I got my master's there as well. I'm here as a capacity of being a social worker in this community for almost 25 years. And I am working with marginalized individuals, and they are scared. It's hard to go to work every day and hear kids and adults be worried that something bad is going to happen to them because of the way this community is coming out, especially you, Mayor Green, and talking about them and what you believe and not protecting them. And by you putting that out there, that is not protecting those individuals. And people like me that listen to it every day, and it's my job, and I love it. It is hard to go to work every day and hear how people are suicidal and terrified to leave their doors in Cedar Falls. I've defended this community to people in other communities that say people from Cedar Falls are this way or that way. No, this is a fantastic community. But this right here shows you that we are not going to put up with this. Thank you.
Yeah. Could I get your name again, please? I'd like to talk with you.
Jessica Naholtz.
Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Name is Seth Chadwick, and address is 1410 Clay Street. So I just want to take a moment to thank the Human Rights Commission for drafting the proclamation naming June 2023 Pride Month, and to thank all the people who have shown up here to speak in support of this proclamation. It does show All of our community is very supportive of all the members of our community. And I want to urge the council to support the HRC's proclamation. And to me, this is a simple question of, do we support our neighbors? Do we accept our neighbors? And do we love our neighbors? And this proclamation is a small way to say, and I'm going to throw a quote in here too, because other people have, from Mr. Rogers, that, as he says, I like you just the way you are. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chadwick. Appreciate that. Okay, we could continue on. Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Steve Ayers, 2209 Clay Street. And I just want to add that it breaks my heart that I have 3 children who will not come visit me here in Iowa because they do not feel safe. And I have another child and their partner that has moved out of state in large part to be part of a community where they felt safe. Passing this resolution and signing it is not going to solve that, but it is one step forward. And I pray for the day that my kids can come visit me happily and safely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ayers. Next speaker. Good evening. Just provide name is great. Thank you.
I don't totally feel safe saying either of those things because of the culture that you've created in Cedar Falls for LGBT people, and I just want to tell you to resign.
Thank you. Next comment? Yes, ma'am.
Jill Miller on North Francis Street here in Cedar Falls. I've raised my 2 children, they're adult children, here in Cedar Falls since 2000. When I heard what was happening with the request for this proclamation, I was blown away. My youngest child makes a very good income, and they live in Baltimore, and they will not come to see me in Iowa because they do not feel safe here. And that means that Cedar Falls is not getting any of their tax money. This is bigger than just the proclamation. The trickle-down effect is great. My other child and his wife most likely will also leave, especially because of what is happening this year with legislation. I never expected that I would be coming to a city council meeting asking for you to pass a proclamation recognizing a diverse group of people. And I too ask you to resign. If you do not feel that you can do your job, then I feel you need to resign.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Nick Tripp, and I live on Clay Street. I am a local lesbian, a 3rd year at UNI, and I'm one of the people who came to this community to protect my family. I am one of the people that have been referenced throughout this entire night who had to leave my hometown because of harm due to them. And I came here because I thought maybe it might be a little bit better, but here we are. And I also want you to notice that you did get people to mobilize. Be surprised that we're here. I saw a lot of people I know, and most of the people that I know are students right now, and it is dead week, and I should be studying, not writing up some speech in my notes at the back of City Hall. Kindness from my representatives is not what my community needs. I appreciate your recognition of your kindness towards the LGBTQ+ community, but what we need are legal and civil protections and respect. We each deserve our individual rights, freedoms, and respect that are guaranteed to us. It is your responsibility to ensure that for each Cedar Falls citizen. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Next speaker. Catch you next, Deshaun. Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record, please.
Judy Myers, 1408 Quail Ridge Road.
I wasn't going to speak today because I know there are so many speakers. However, I want to represent and say that I was born straight. I am straight. And my husband said, so why do you want to go to this? And I said, if citizens don't stand up for other citizens, I mean, we've got to. Partly to honor my uncle who's passed away, who was gay. I have a nephew who is gay. But more importantly, I just spent 4 months in Florida where they passed the Do Not Say Gay bill, even that isn't what they called it. So I would say gay every day. But you couldn't, I mean, you didn't feel safe to go out and speak about it, or sometimes you used to have signs for different things in Florida, but now you can take your gun to work day. They've passed that too. So I come back and this is kind of the first thing I've seen about the proclamation, and it's just wrong. So I do ask the council to pass the proclamation. I do hope you sign it. It's the right thing to do, and straight people feel that way too.
Thank you, Mrs. Myers. Mr. Vajpayee.
Ishan Vajpayee, 3831 Conveyor Lane, just Cedar Falls. I guess, you know, if certain people want to have a proclamation that don't get one, it's fine. You can bring one up and have one for people with beards. So to say that it isn't a political issue, it's the junk that's like, we shouldn't have Black History Month without a White History Month. You know, we shouldn't have Women's History Month without a Men's History Month. So that's that kind of junk that is. But the idea that it's not a political issue, and the idea that it should stay out of our and the fact that it's been made one is disappointing. Other things like this used to be political issues, and other things like this used to be debated, and issues have had religion be their cloak of kindness. Some of them include whether women should be able to vote. Some of them include whether women should be able to do this or that or the other. Some of them include whether or not you should be able to put a Black person in chains and make them work your field. I mean, that's as blunt as it gets. And religion has been used to put people down and kill people and rape people for centuries, but we as a society evolved past that. So this is no longer a political issue, it's a human rights issue. And so the people that used to think that religion could justify segregation of schools or segregation of a drinking fountain, those people can still believe that, but the rest of us as civilized human beings have moved on, and it's like no longer a matter of opinion. It really isn't. So the position you're in right now, Mayor Green, unfortunately, is the same position of those people who thought back in the mid-60s that their religion gave them some license to feel a certain hateful way. And again, people have talked about this. You as the mayor have the obligation to think beyond your personal beliefs and think about the city, because it's like ad nauseum, the budget, economic development. You want to attract employers with this kind of attitude? You want to attract college students with this kind of attitude? I was trying to think, okay, so if it's a political issue, the reddest city in the reddest state in the country shouldn't have an LGBTQIA proclamation. But guess what? It's Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they do. That shows that it's not a political issue. It's a human rights issue. You give me too much time on my phone to research, and that's what happens. 54 years this has been an event in this country. And I think this is the problem. There are a lot of people in this room that do not wish to go back into a time machine to the year 1965 or the year 1960. It'd be detrimental to their health or their safety. Maybe the problem is if you went back into a time machine in 1960, you'd be just fine. And I think that's the problem, is you're operating from an absolute position of zero empathy, because you aren't thinking about how it makes a gay person feel when the figurehead of their city says, I can't even have my name near an event. I can't have my name near a piece of paper that proclaims that it's okay for you to feel prideful about a personality characteristic of yours. Let's scratch the funding for the Arch to welcome people to Main Street and spend it on some sensitivity training. So, and I didn't think I was going to get to this point, but I sat here long enough. With the same mind and heart that caused you to weep at past racial injustices when talking about redlining, remember that you will be judged by history the same way we now judge those who segregated this city to that extent, because that's how far behind you are, and you still have a few more speakers worth of time to change your mind and save yourself that disgrace. And I've given you money for your political campaigns, and I put your sign in my yard, and again, I didn't think I was going to get to this, but you are unqualified to continue to be the mayor of this city. And I can't believe that anyone in this city would continue to feel comfortable working under you. Because what if they're gay? What if they're part of this community? And you, basically, you didn't say it in your memo, but let's read a little bit deeper. You're judging their lifestyle, you're judging what they do in their bedroom, you're judging their marriage, and you're judging it negatively. You think poorly of their marriage. You judge their marriage. And why should anyone work for you? And they shouldn't. That's why you should quit.
Thank you, Mr. Vachman. Oh, yes, please come forward.
Good evening, Council and Mr. Mayor. Nate Gruber, Mary Hill Drive. I'm speaking as a private citizen, but like you, I am an elected official here in Cedar Falls on the Cedar Falls School Board. I also serve on the district's equity committee. And one thing that was mentioned by a previous speaker that I wanted to build upon. Inaction on this proclamation is counterproductive to the efforts that the district and the equity committee, which are both committed to doing all we can to create a safe environment in our schools where every student feels safe, supported, and heard. Our success in continually creating this environment is heavily influenced by factors outside of our school buildings, including the larger Cedar Falls community. I urge the council to pass the proclamation. I urge Mayor Green to sign the proclamation as well, because our children are watching and they are learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gruber. Ms. Geary, name and address for the record, please, ma'am.
Andrea Geary, and I also won't be providing my address because you've created a culture where that feels unsafe. Rob. Council members, Mayor Green, I'm here tonight to request the resignation of Mayor Rob Green. Mayor Green, if you are unwilling to offer your resignation, then I believe it is the obligation of the council to ask for it. The signing of proclamations must be one of the more simple tasks relegated to a mayor. Your grandstanding refusal to sign off on the Pride Month proclamation, requested by the Cedar Falls Human Rights Commission, amounts to a dereliction of duty, and a harmful one at that, as you've heard tonight. You have caused so much harm. As mayor of Cedar Falls, you are the civic leader of over 40,000 people. Your words and actions have power. In theory, you have the power to influence, to unify, and inspire. Instead, the path you have chosen is one of discrimination, exclusion, and hate. No doubt your behavior will prove validation enough for others to act out through hate. For bigotry, even when shrouded in religion, is still bigotry. Regardless of whether or not the Pride Month proclamation is passed by council tonight, significant harm has been done by you. Your dangerous and inflammatory behavior has caused injury and further alienation to the LGBTQ+ community, which I am positive you are aware has been targeted to truly grotesque degrees by your party's representatives in the state. Christians are also offended that you have blasphemously used their religion as an excuse to behave hatefully, and the entire city of Cedar Falls has once again been cast in a shameful tone. Take the time to examine the true origins of your bigotry so that you may find a way to ask the good people of Cedar Falls for forgiveness someday. Please resign.
Thank you, Ms. Geary. Any other speakers for tonight? Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Alan Slaughter, 1616 South Forest Road.
Yeah, Mr. Slaughter.
Wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but somebody mentioned earlier that things should be said face-to-face and not just in social media, so I'll address what I said to you in social media today. I'm sadly disappointed in your stance. I'm disappointed that you have chosen not to employ the separation of church and state and have decided to allow your personal beliefs to supersede your role as mayor to serve all of your constituents, not just those that share your faith or your version of your faith. Are there any other issues that your faith may hinder your ability to do your job as mayor? If so, then you need to consider stepping down. Up until this point, I've respected and admired you as a leader of the city. But if you're unwilling or unable to be a public servant to all, then you're not worthy to be a public servant to any. I'm a cis white male. I grew up in a conservative Southern Baptist church in Georgia. I'm also the father of a trans teenager. And with everything else going on in Iowa, I wasn't sure what that was going to look like for her. And I hate to say that when I found out a couple of weeks ago that she was accepted to be a foreign exchange student to Germany, that I was relieved that she would not have to face her final school year here and whatever else the legislation or any other people that decide to rule over her life deem is appropriate for her. Germany is a place that she feels safer than Iowa in the United States. That shows how far they've progressed and how much further we still have to come. Mayor, there are legal definitions of marriage, and there's the church definition of marriage. Those aren't mutually exclusive. You can have your belief, but it is not your place as an elected official to impose that on other people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slaughter. Oh, yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record, please.
Again, Sonia Liebach, I'm not giving my address. So I'm just listening to everybody. I do want to acknowledge Julie Kliegel for writing and putting together the proclamation, but I would be amiss as an educator not to take a moment to educate. So I was here in November and I accepted the proclamation for Native Americans here in this room. And as you all know, our history as Native Americans and how we suffered under Christianity. But Mayor Green, you and I talked about Native Americans before, and I know you're quite passionate about that issue, but I do have to let you know that when you issued that proclamation to honor my people, you did not write in that proclamation to exclude the two spirits, and my culture believes in two spirits. And this is what this is also recognizing two spirits. So Mayor Green, you have already signed a proclamation that endorses two spirits.
Any other speakers for tonight? Okay, last call. All right, closing the public comment portion of this then. One more, okay.
Tyler O'Brien, Olive Street, Cedar Falls.
Good evening, Mr. O'Brien.
Good evening. I wasn't prepared to do this, but so many of my neighbors and colleagues and friends here have supported this, and I wanted to put in a couple of cents as well.
Thank you.
And like a previous speaker, I've done some research while I've been sitting out there as well. And knowing you as a neighbor of mine from like 3 or 4 houses down the street, we have been what I thought were friends, and your opinions that have come out in this memo have challenged my opinion now. But I also know you as a father of a child who's in Civil Air Patrol, if I'm not mistaken, and that you are involved in that as well as your pride in being a member of the Coast Guard. And so I looked up some of the information about that just to to show you the support that those organizations have for countering your argument. If you mind, CAP, the Civil Air Patrol, offers a safe, fun environment for all cadets and their adult leaders. Participation in CAP activities is always voluntary. Nobody's ever required to participate. We do our best to work with families to make reasonable accommodations for the lodging requests when practical. And it goes on, but I'd like to point out that the Coast Guard, of which you are a member, if I am not mistaken, commemorates LGBTQ+ Pride Month. The Coast Guard commemorates this Pride Month in June. What began as observance of the anniversary of the 1969 Stonewall Uprising for gay rights in New York City has grown into a nationwide celebration. It reminds us that contribution of the LGBTQ+ community are woven throughout the fabric of our nation's history, our society, and our service. Just thought you might want to take that into consideration because of your personal preferences.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Dr. O'Brien. I get in trouble when I say doctor sometimes out here. Yes, go ahead.
My name's Ann Johnson. I live in Cedar Falls, and I'll proudly give my address because I put things up in my front door porch to illustrate my beliefs. And the one quote that I have right now is one I found in my mother's collection of quotes. She was a preacher's wife, and the quote was from Blaise Pascal, and as closely as I can get to it, "Never do men and women do evil so cheerfully and gladly as they do under religious conviction." I don't want this to be a religious town. I am spiritual. I play in the yard. I mess with plants, and I have pets. And decades, centuries ago, I would be a witch because I have familiars. And I wear these headscarves, and I have an opinion, and that's why they made these things called scold's bridles. The Branks just keep sassy women like me quiet. I wouldn't wear it. What I want to know is, what was your motivation to issue this memo? Who benefits? Did you show some group that, hey, I'm on your side, maybe hire me, give me a better job if enough people ask me to resign? Just wanted to know why you would do that as a Christian. I've been married 3 times, got divorced, married an abusive man. My last husband died. I'm straight, I'm white. I have a lot of privilege in this town, but you are trying to hurt these people's privilege through your beliefs, and you have to keep your religious beliefs out of your politics, or resign if you can't do it.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, please. Name and address for the record, or if you prefer not to.
Yeah, so 1013 Western Avenue in Waterloo, Iowa. So my name is Mitchell. I've actually lived in Cedar Falls from when I was born, and then off and on for basically over 28 years before I eventually moved to Waterloo. For me, proclamations are not a law. They're just saying, hey, we welcome you with open arms, and that's all you literally have to do. It's not even like you have to believe in a law that might hurt you or something like that. It's just a statement saying, hey, we see you, we support you. And as someone who grew up in Cedar Falls and is now living in Waterloo, I feel more safer and have a better community of friends that I trust and support in Waterloo than I do in Cedar Falls, because this doesn't feel like this is something that like it's easy. It's easy, and that's what's frustrating is like you can be a Christian and still support, you know, the community without having to be believing in the community. You can say, hey, I recognize you as a person. You can be happy. You can say that's not for me, but hey, I still support you. I still recognize you. I still see you. And that's how easy it is. That's literally how easy it can be. And putting out a memo like that, just it's frustrating. I've been outside for the last hour and a half, basically in protest of your memo because of how wrong and irritating it was. I have better things to do on a Monday night than come to the town next door to deal with shit like this because I have to, you know, fight for my friends and my families. So, there.
Thank you very much, Mitchell. Any final comments before going back to the council? Yes, please. Evening, Mr. Connor. Dr. Connor.
Hi, my name is Tom Connors. I live on 1304, or at 1304 College Street. I've lived here for over 25 years. I teach at the university. I can tell you that we have a lot of students at the university who are LGBTQA, et cetera, and they're very fragile and hurting right now. They find it difficult to be in this state. And it feels like they've been given another blow in this city, which should be a safe place for them. I think when you speak as mayor, you speak for the city. And I think this is now on the record that we, you know, have a homophobic city in a sense. We have a mayor that is going to attack those people. And anybody who looks for Cedar Falls and LGBT, this is what's going to come up now for years. So I think this has done a lot of damage. I think it's done damage to the university. It's going to be harder for us to recruit people as faculty, to recruit people as students, and I think it makes it harder for the city to attract good jobs, to attract technical jobs. So I hope you'll rethink this. You know, I've supported you as mayor. I think you've done a good job so far, but I don't know exactly how to fix this. And I hope you guys find a way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Connor. Yes, good evening.
Hello. Sarah Lauby. I live under the Troll Bridge down by the river. Thank you for giving us the
bridge?
opportunity to speak
There
here
are
tonight.
3 bridges.
The Troll Bridge.
The Troll Bridge, okay.
I'm an educator in the Cedar Valley and got the chance to cultivate critical thinking skills.
Okay.
I get to cultivate critical thinking skills. Part of that education is to establish and grow the ability to learn from mistakes. In short, adjusting your thinking. It is my professional duty to teach students how to think about the world around them and support them through their mistakes while providing repeated practice opportunities where they can adjust their thinking with no penalty. This is a repeated practice opportunity for you, Mayor Green. We all have an opinion, and we know what we think of this proclamation, either in dissent or support. Let's take this opportunity to choose how to think about this proclamation. Mayor Green, I would like to ask you to adjust your thinking in your professional stance regarding this proclamation, and I ask the council to vote in favor of the proclamation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sarah. Any last speakers tonight? Yes, Mr. Blanford. Floor is yours.
Good evening. Tom Blanford, 1011 Rainbow Drive. I just want to say I served with many of you, in fact all of you at one point or another. We stood in this room and we took an oath we have an obligation to stand up and support your DEI staff member, your human rights commissioners, and the members of this community who need our support right now, and I would expect all of you to deliver on that oath. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rutherford. Last call. Okay, seeing none others, then bring it back to the council and additional comments before a vote.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Dunn.
First, I do want to commend folks for being respectful. I've sat in conversations about way less important stuff and felt way less respect. So kudos to you, because I do believe. I grew up on a farm in rural Iowa, and I often think about the state that I love, and you know, whether I'll stay or go. And I hope that I don't go. I hope I stay and fight to make this place the place I love. But I think about the people I grew up with who, you know, we didn't grow up with much diversity. And looking back, you know, there's always folks who are living maybe not able to be who they are, and that is incredibly sad. But when I think about how to have progress, I think about the best way to get to progress, even though I can get fired up as anybody. But if I really want to change somebody's mind, it's going to be with a calm conversation and action. So I appreciate you all. And I you know, many of these folks, they're my friends. They're people I've volunteered with. So I love this community. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Mayor, I don't think you're a hateful person. We've had good conversations since I've been on this council. I was appointed to the the Racial Equity Task Force that you appointed me to. I served with pride. I learned so much from there. One of the things I learned from that, even though it was a racial equity task force, it was the constant conversation of equity for all and how that will improve our community immensely and beyond your and my time on this council. And, you know, hopefully Cedar Falls is going long after we're gone off this earth. I guess that's why, you know, I don't want to. Folks have already said many of my thoughts, but your words they're disgraceful and they're hurtful to our community. And it is a black eye that I don't know that, I hope it can be repaired. Even if, well, no matter what the vote is, the damage has been done. And it bothers me. It bothers me as a person who sits with you. It bothers me as a mother. My daughter, and she'll be mad that I even bring her up, but my daughter hardly pays it. I mean, she might pay attention to it, but she doesn't take that much, she hasn't talked to me about council stuff much at all. But she sent me a message. I mean, these kids, it's not easy. It wasn't easy going to school when we were younger. It's definitely not easy right now. And even she knows what's going on, you know? And I have all kinds of kids that I'm thankful running through my house all the time. And those kids this is their home. And I don't want them to ever feel like if they choose to stay that they're not safe here. I just am sick of this division. This community is like, gosh, I swear there's just constant drama and division in this community. It's crazy. And I don't think that's a true representation of our community. I think if you're actually out and about and out of these chambers, it's a beautiful community. And someone spoke earlier about a fabric. When I was younger and my aunt and uncle owned a place on College Hill, I was, again, a kid from a farm. And as a 13-year-old, there was so much vibrancy and things that I just, you know, all kinds of different people up on College Hill. And it made me want to come here. And I did. And I stayed. And now you're stuck with me for another couple years. I don't want to tear you down, but it's very hurtful. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to our community. We are better than this, and I truly believe we are, in real life, better than this. So that's it. I'll speak the rest with my vote.
Thank you, Councilor Dunn. And I would break protocol typically to what Councilor Dunn had said. For the conversation that was had tonight, I think everybody deserves a round of applause. This was fantastic, honestly. Not willing to do it. All right. Well, I commend everyone. Other comments? Yes, Councilor Harding.
Well, I don't really know what to say after all of that. I didn't know what to expect tonight, honestly. I'm, straight white male and play music a lot. So I have, played in pit orchestras with drama groups. And so I have a lot of experience around diverse people. And what kind of hit me tonight was, well, first of all, the showing. I honestly, this is great. But the diversity of the showing is really kind of something that just, we have many people of faith here and a reverend and just people standing up for people. And I'm not running again. This isn't political for me or anything. I didn't know what to expect. And I guess I am, as tough as this issue is, I'm proud of Cedar Falls for coming out and standing up, because for me, this is a human rights issue. I agree with that 100%. I agree with people to have their opinions and their faith, and I think that's what's great about America, is that we can have all these different types of people. And it is, someone said something about, it's just acknowledgement of, you guys are over there, you can do what you want to do. These people can do what they want to do, and we can all thrive and love each other together, and around wherever we're at, and help each other. So I think as tough as this is, and as some people have said, possibly hurtful, or we're taking step backs, I feel like we're taking a step forward with everyone just coming out and being a part of this and speaking up, and we're having this conversation in Cedar Falls. And that's a great thing for Cedar Falls. So let's have compassion and support the proclamation. I think it is our duty as elected officials to strip aside our faith when we come up here and represent all people. And I think that I'm 100% in support of this. So thank you for every one of you. I appreciate it.
Comments? Councilor Schultz.
I've said it before, I'm really going to miss Simon. He's so optimistic and really gets down to the point. I ran for office because I wanted to make a city that is great, try to make it even better. One of the things that throughout my life that I've not been a fan of, and that's people that are bullies. And we're seeing that throughout our nation, and it's unfortunate in our legislation. And I want Cedar Falls, I want Iowa, I want the United States to not be a place where people don't feel safe for who they are. And that's what I feel like why I'm here tonight. That might be the only one thing. If I do one thing in 4 years, it's going to be to vote for this and to stand up and say Cedar Falls is a great place to be for everyone. So I would also, probably not the right place to say it, but if the mayor doesn't sign this, I do say he should resign, that he is not separating this. I'm not saying this because I have friends that are gay, or I have friends that are in the community. I would say this regardless if my daughter and my daughter's wife weren't in the community, if my cousins weren't in this community, if my friends weren't in this community. It's the right thing to do. To vote against this is just simply wrong. I hope I get a chance to read this thing. That's where I am.
Thank you. Other comments? Okay, seeing none. I took about 20 pages of notes off with all the comments tonight. So for me, with the memo that I wrote and with where I stand on these issues, I've had great conversations today, thanks to folks who came in, phone calls I've had about that separation. I think one thing that I didn't appreciate was that, as I think politically of the mayor as basically an executive functionary, bringing it to council for this proclamation and saying, okay, I'm not comfortable signing the proclamation because of my beliefs, which are not going to change here tonight. But looking at what, for some of the comments that were said tonight, I appreciate what's being said, that it's not that you're looking for me to agree. The comment said it's to support the community, not to believe necessarily in all the statements. And I think that's something I didn't really appreciate before, or didn't really take to heart. There was a question about like what group I waved this to get. There's none of that. It's me as a person trying to get through life like everyone else. And I'll tell you, this room is filled with people who believe as you do. My inbox is filled with messages of people who believe like I do, and are very strongly supportive of the stance I've taken. So, as I go with that, it's very important to realize that there are a lot of people who believe like I do, and that's our social challenge. How do we reconcile the two? How do we find the common ground? How do we help people feel safe? Because I certainly want people to feel safe in the community. I know there's laughter. I hope that you take my genuineness. I'm not a hateful person. I would say that, and there's laughter again, keep in mind that there are there's 40,000 people in this town. There are at least hundreds of people who don't understand. And I'm one of those. I spent 4 hours at the National Museum of African American History this past Wednesday, and was floored about the things that I didn't know. Emmett Till, I'd heard the name, I had no idea what his role was in the civil rights movement. But I can learn. Others can learn. So what I would ask is, for those of you who have my email address, mayor@cedarfalls.com, there's some great comments tonight. I heard from folks in social work. I'd like to learn more this week. With the proclamation as it is, I'm not concerned about re-election. This is me talking as a person. I'm not running again. But just from the comments tonight, and for trying to understand the position you're in, appreciating that I don't have to change my beliefs in order to support those around me. And the way I looked at it in between the talks was, if there was a Muslim professor who came and lived next door to me, would I have anything against that Muslim professor? Should he feel safe? I don't agree with him. We have different values, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't feel safe and protected. And I should support that community, and I should support your community. So with that, and support the entire community, without even agreeing, I would say to Cedar Falls residents, we don't have to agree to support. We don't have to agree to care. We don't have to agree in order to love each other and to try to understand each other. So with that, I will sign the proclamation, if it passes. So I will leave it to the council for whether or not it does. So with that, so moved and seconded for the proclamation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, it does pass. Thank you. So that was our proclamation tonight. And we move on to our next item, item 10.
When do we read it, Mayor?
We'd have to have it come forward. Thank you. I'll wait a few moments to allow people to dismiss.
It needs to be corrected.
Gotta be corrected.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't follow.
You're welcome to stay if you like. The rest section might be a little boring.
Correct it. See, this was a graph, and they need to correct it to actually, follow the rules. My opinion of why they should.
And for the sergeant at arms, we might need to close the doors after. Or well, I'm learning.
And you know what? I'm glad you signed it. It's the right thing to do. I'm proud of you. For what it's worth. Not
Yeah.
that you see how you live your life to see how proudness from
Only from you.
from device.
All right. With that, we also had item 12. Councilmember Sires wanted to bring that up. Do you remember that, Councilor Sires?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Receive and file the monthly reports of March 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Open for discussion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please.
This is for Chief Birdie. We had, I don't have my bifocals. Last month we had 2 kidnappings, 2 rapes, and we had 12 assaults. What areas of town were those in?
Well, I don't have that in front of me, so I couldn't tell you without seeing. That doesn't sound right either.
Well, that's what it shows, and it shows the total for 2023 is 2 kidnappings, 5 rapes, and the total was 39 robberies, 39 assaults, excuse me. Are we doing anything special to alleviate that?
Well, I would tell you, I don't have the monthly report right in front of me, but those codes go by the IBR and the national. You have to fit it into certain codes. So I can check that those numbers are right, get back to you tomorrow. You know, the number of sexual assaults and assaults is probably definitely correct. Kidnappings, though, that sounds surprising, but it would be the criteria it would take to classify something as a kidnapping too. And a good example is if you have a car accident where you have a vehicular homicide, you know, that's counted as a homicide in those stats. So I would need to take a look at it tomorrow, and I could sure get you that information.
That'd be great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions, comments on it? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Receive and file the monthly reports for March 2023. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes and takes us over to item 14B, which is this approving the following applications for retail alcohol licenses: the Cedar Basin Music Festival, Sturgis Park, special Class C retail alcohol and outdoor service, 5-day permit. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Councilor Cruz, what do you have for us tonight?
This is obviously part of the Sturgis Falls Festival, which is a joint event with another group. And I'm asking that the folks with the Cedar Basin consider there are non-revenue generating events that cost money. The parade, the Kids Way, and the Overman Park Festival events taking place there, that they contribute a reasonable share to the expenses of running the event, so that it's fairly treated between allowing everybody to sell beer and raise money, or certain groups to raise money, also to contribute to the parts of the event that makes it a family event and not just about selling beer.
Okay, so looking at that, any other thoughts from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Those events are not joint events. They are 2 separate events. And I believe from this council's discussion a few years ago that the Cedar Basin, then called the Cedar Basin Jazz Festival, started before Sturgis Falls, very close. And I understand why we all think they are, together. And as I recall the discussion, at least my thoughts a couple years ago, were this is a private matter. These are private, although the city of Cedar Falls is incredibly grateful that they go on, and I think the city does everything they can to help support these events because we know the history and we're proud of that. These are two private groups that if they need to work something out together, that's up to them, is my thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I agree they're private events, but they use very public facilities. It's basically promoted as one huge community event. And there's components of it that people flow back and forth between them. And I think it's only fitting that everybody contributes to the costs to entertain and have a citywide event for everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any final talks, discussion? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded for item 14B for the approving the Cedar Basin Music Festival, Sturgis Park, and Class C retail and alcohol outdoor service 5-day permit. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that passes. It takes us over to the resolution calendar, where these items will be acted upon by a roll call vote on a single motion without separate discussion, unless someone from the council or the public requests that a specific item be considered separately. Is there any items from 16 through 39 that the council approved? And we're taking out 18, 21, and 23. Excuse me, 18, 21, and 22, just so you know. So any other items to pull? Okay, seeing none. Any from the public to pull from 16 to 39? Okay, seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion to approve those items.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded, requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And it takes us over to bills and claims for May 1st. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? And requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any council updates or announcements tonight?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor.
I believe this, we kind of share every spring and fall, the hazardous, household hazardous waste and electronics drop-off event. That's going on this weekend. I'm looking at my event here. It's from 9 to 1. I helped last spring, and that was my first time helping. And last spring, I believe it was a new thing where they had people sign up for a time. So it's not just like show up with your stuff anymore. And from the folks that I was the person that stopped cars and kept people occupied while their stuff got unloaded. All the folks that came and had been coming for years all appreciated that very much because they didn't wait in their cars. So anyway, just want to make sure people know that that event is going on. And if you do wish to participate, you do need to sign up for a ticket. And there is a Facebook event going. Otherwise, I think if you go to the Waste Track Education Team's website, they'll have information there as well if you're not on the social media. And I believe they said it takes 50 to 60 volunteers to make that happen. I don't know if you had to have it signed up by now, but you could look and see if they still need help, because without the volunteers, it doesn't happen. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other announcements, updates? Okay, seeing none, then do we have any? We have one council referral tonight on the list, and we can certainly add others if desired. That's item 41, which is referring to the Finance and Business Operations Committee retiring or expiring tax increment financing districts and process of releasing funds. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Oh, wait.
Second.
Moved and seconded for that referral. Do we have any discussion that we need in it to approve? It seemed really straightforward.
Yeah, it just seemed like there was a lot of confusion, and I thought it would be good to have a refresher course since we have a lot of new faces.
Okay.
Well, not really new, they've been here 2 years, but year and a half.
We're looking pretty haggard by now. Okay, so seeing that, I'm just speaking for myself. Seeing that, moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so that passes, and we will refer that to committee. Timing-wise, we don't, probably before goal setting, let the folks know what's coming up.
It's got to be way before that.
Well,
Soon.
so like educational? Okay, so
I think it should be much,
July, June, July. We can plan for that.
June, July.
June, July.
All
Yep.
right.
I have a second referral that
Please
is more
do.
pressing that I would like to have before the one we just did. And the second one is just I don't know which committee it needs to go to, but a referral for our proclamation policies and procedures, because that also seems to be confusing. It was changed in April, and I think we need to have a set guideline, because even on this one, our rules weren't followed, so.
Well,
I shouldn't say rules, our policy, our set standards.
Okay, so it's moved, is there a second? Okay, and as far as the standards not being followed, of the policy?
Well, like it says in our thing that there's supposed to be a 30-day notification, prior notification, and then there's rules as far as the text and how many whereases and therefores they need to have. If we're going to have rules, we need to follow them.
Yeah, well, they were, like for the 30-day, everything that I saw for the one that we were talking about, the Pride Month one, it met those requirements.
Yeah, the only thing I saw said March 24th, and so that's not 30 days, so. You may have seen more, but I'm what I was
30
entitled to.
Okay, so 30 day, oh, I see, so 30 days to council ahead of time.
Now, that's what our rules say, so I think we
Okay.
should follow the rules, but we can discuss
Yeah.
that when we have a meeting about it.
Okay, as a misunderstanding, it meant having it in before May 1st or April 1st. So they met theirs. I don't want to seem that they didn't follow the process. So it's just an understanding, okay, council, if you want to see those 30 days ahead of time, rather than just on the council packet, certainly, we can adjust that. Or discuss eliminating the proclamations entirely if you want.
Right.
It could be part of that too. Okay, so with that, it's been moved. Is there a second on that one? Did we?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor of this proclamations policy review, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that passes as well. Also, one probably we'd want to knock out real soon, but I don't see a lot of staff, or really any staff set up for that. So that might be one of the early ones, maybe in June, that we can do that for you. Okay, any others for tonight? All right, great. Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much for an excellent civics night.